Ethan Cole stood at the edge of the grand hall, a vast chamber adorned with shimmering crystals that refracted the light from 1,000 stars. The celestial conclave had convened, its members representing various alien races that populated the galaxy. It was a rare occasion, and Ethan felt every bit the outsider as he observed the swirling colors of the delegates' attire and the intricate patterns of their insignias. Humanity is a danger, plain and simple, a voice resonated through the hall. It belonged to Cathus, a member of the Zolari species, known for their sharp intellect and even sharper tongues. Their reckless behavior threatened stability. They ought to be barred from the trial altogether. Ethan's heart sank. The trial of the cosmos was a critical event meant to determine which civilizations could explore new frontiers. It had far-reaching consequences beyond mere exploration. An exclusion would cast humanity into the shadows of the galaxy once more. Across the chamber, representatives exchanged murmurs, casting glances in his direction. The atmosphere crackled with tension. Why is it that humans can't ever play by the rules? Tara, a Stralan diplomat, chimed in. Her voice dripped with derision. Every interaction leaves a trail of chaos. Look at the last diplomatic mission. They nearly ignited a war with the Thrall. Ethan gritted his teeth, fists clenched at his sides. Memories of the misguided mission flooded his mind, miscommunications fueled by cultural differences, all blown out of proportion. Yet here he stood on the brink of summary judgment for the entire human race. Your disdain is unwarranted, Tara spoke a softer voice, one that cut through the cacophony. It was Lyra, an Elorian representative. Her luminescent skin shimmered under the chamber's lights, her gold-flecked eyes radiating calm. If we cannot accept all voices at the trial, what are we fighting to protect? Every civilization has its flaws. Your sentiments are noble, Lyra, but they are misplaced, Cathus interjected, rolling his eyes. To indulge humanity is to invite disaster. Let's not forget that we all started somewhere, Lyra retorted, locking eyes with Ethan. Humanity has grown, and their presence is a reflection of trials faced by each of us. The council flickered between support and unease. Members shifted in their seats, and Ethan could sense the lingering uneasiness in the air. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward, his heart racing. I understand the trepidation, he said, trying to sound composed even as his voice trembled. But I'm here to advocate for cooperation. We've made mistakes, yes. But we learn, adapt, and grow from them. Isn't that what progress is? Murmurs erupted, and Cathus shot Ethan a glare. Humans are unpredictable, Ethan. Admit it. You enter into agreements only to break them. Who hasn't erred? Ethan replied, steel in his gaze. You haven't always honored your treaties either, Cathus. It's a lesson all civilizations must confront. The council chamber descended into mayhem, debate igniting like flames. Voices rose, clashing like clanging metal. Ethan's heart raced as he felt himself becoming engulfed in the chaos. Suddenly, Lyra spoke again, her voice cutting through the turmoil. Silence, she commanded, and the hall fell abruptly quiet, all eyes turning toward her. We must not allow our fears to dictate our choices. We are on the brink of a new age, and exclusion will only lead to more division. Your heart is in the right place, Lyra, said Tunos, a towering member of the Grather species, but most don't share your view. We are here to discuss the trial, not to reach a consensus on humanity. Ethan felt a rush of gratitude toward Lyra. She was a steady anchor amidst turbulent waves. Each moment spent near her filled him with warmth, a stark contrast to the cold judgment surrounding him. Your fears are based on what you've seen, Ethan said, addressing the gathered delegates. Why not focus on what we can achieve together? Collaborative efforts could actualize advancements that benefit everyone. Another wave of debate sparked, and amid the clamor, Ethan caught Lyra's eye again. She nodded gently, an encouraging gesture. He stepped back, emotion swirling. Including us in the trial could lead to unprecedented discoveries. He called out, urgency rising in his voice. Imagine the technologies we can create. The knowledge we can share. Why should we trust you? Cathus's voice was heavy with skepticism. Because we are all explorers at heart. Ethan proclaimed, his passion fueling his words. We all seek knowledge and understanding. What better way than to allow the untamed spirit of humanity to join this endeavor? What's your proposal, then? Tara challenged, a glint of curiosity in her eyes. I propose we collaborate on joint exploratory missions, Ethan replied, gathering momentum. By sending teams from diverse species, we can tackle challenges together. Sure, we've made mistakes, but we're not defined by them. For a brief moment, a silence enveloped the hall, and Ethan could see sparks of consideration igniting amongst some delegates. It would be a risk, Tanuz acknowledged slowly. But perhaps it's worth deliberating. Perhaps humanity has something to offer. Suddenly laughter erupted from Cathus. You believe humanity has something to contribute? That's laughable. Ethan's frustration bubbled to the surface, but before he could retort, Lyra stepped forward with fierce resolve, her voice ringing out across the chamber. Trust is built through action, Cathus. Show us through evidence that humanity can rise to the challenge. Evidence? Cathus scoffed, you can't simply erase the past. Lyra sighed but then turned to Ethan, her eyes aflame with determination. We have to do it. We have to show them. Feeling a rush of adrenaline, Ethan nodded. Yes, let's show them. I'll commit to leading the first mission if it gives us a chance. The murmurs started again, heads weaving together in conversation. But amid the chaos, Ethan felt gratitude toward Lyra, who stood steadfast beside him. Let's not give in to despair, she said quietly, urgency tinging her words. We'll face whatever consequences together. As Ethan met her gaze, he felt a flicker of something deeper, a connection woven from the thread of shared ideals and unwavering support. The night stretched ahead, full of uncertainty, yet the warmth of her presence served as a reminder that he wouldn't venture alone. Inwardly, he vowed to fight, not just for humanity, but for the alliance between worlds. Despair was a choice, but so was hope, and for now he chose the latter. Chapter 2: The Preparation. Ethan leaned against the cool surface of a console in the Elorian embassy, his mind racing with the aftermath of the trial. He replayed every moment, every argument, every glance he shared with Lyra. The atmosphere buzzed with tense anticipation, and he felt a strange mixture of excitement and apprehension. All right, we can't just sit here, Ethan finally said, breaking the silence that had fallen after their heated discussions. We have to act now. The trial is imminent, and if we want humanity to have a voice, we need to prepare. Lyra looked up from her tablet, her golden eyes gleaming with determination. You're right. Let's strategize. We need a plan that showcases our capabilities without overlooking our past mistakes. Ethan nodded, a spark of energy igniting as they began brainstorming. What if we could demonstrate a joint mission? Something that requires ingenuity, cooperation, and trust. Maybe a project that highlights both human technology and Elorian innovation? Lyra smiled, the corner of her lips turning up. I like that idea. We can use Elorian technology to facilitate and gather data. Together, we can pinpoint unexplored territories. We'll be explorers, scientists united. Ethan grabbed a nearby holopad and began to sketch out ideas. What if we focus on the uncharted moon of Talon 4? There's evidence of some unique geologic formations and unheard-of ecosystems. It could be a potential breakthrough. Exactly. The Zolari and Strahlan are likely to join the debate if we present something scientific and beneficial for all, Lyra added, her enthusiasm infectious. By gathering samples and documenting our findings, we would have tangible proof of what a united front can accomplish. Just then, a voice interrupted their discussion. Isn't that a bit ambitious? You're talking about a mission that could collapse under its own weight. It was Rarik, Ethan's fellow human diplomat, lumbering into the room with arms crossed, his brow furrowed. Rarik. Ethan shot back. Are you seriously here to discourage us? We need all the support we can get. I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but let's be realistic. The Zolari just voted against humanity. What makes you think they'd support any kind of expedition led by humans? Rarik frowned. That's where you're wrong, Lyra interjected. You see, this is exactly what we need. If we can present evidence of unity, they might view humanity differently. Rarik sighed but seemed to soften as he contemplated her words. So you're saying we should put ourselves in the firing line again? Ethan nodded. Exactly. If we SD, we'll gain credibility. If we fail, well, we can't just hide forever. The galaxy is vast, there are risks everywhere. We fail when we don't even try. Rarik arched his chin thoughtfully. And if we're successful? It could shift perspectives. Lyra grinned. That's the point. We need to work together, matter-of-factly. Tightly-knit teams can create groundbreaking results. We need to bring everyone together. With agreement in the air, they drew up a list of requirements for the expedition. Together, their combined knowledge rapidly expanded their plans. All right, Ethan said, pulling up an intergalactic map. We'll need resources and quickly. Rarik, what human teams do you think we can mobilize? Rarik scratched his head. I can contact Dr. Sarah Quinn. Her team specializes in exobiology. She'd likely be excited about the potential discoverable ecosystems. Excellent choice. And Lyra, can you reach out to some of your contacts? Ethan asked. Of course. I can involve Elorian engineers to oversee the technological aspects, she replied, enthusiasm brightening her features. Together, they formed a circle around the map, intent on exploiting every resource at their disposal. The atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to excitement as they laid out plans, their ideas flowing freely and seamlessly. Hours passed as they debated and refined their mission. The three shared laughter, their minds beginning to gel as new alliances formed. Okay, we need to think about logistics, Ethan said, pacing slightly. When would we want to launch? Soon, Rarick said firmly. The longer we delay, the more chances we give the council time to reconsider. All right, let's set our departure for next week, Ethan decided. We need to get moving quickly. Lyra chimed in, plus we'll need to gather a sizable crew. We can benefit from several different perspectives. I'll take care of it, Rarick assured them. A team from the research division can be assembled quickly. Just as they finalized their plans, the door to the embassy burst open. A tall, striking figure entered and the temperature of the room shifted. It was Ariana, a respected strategist from the Zolari, often feared for her sharp tongue and keen insights. What's happening here? She asked, crossing her arms, her tone inquisitive yet pointed. Ethan exchanged a glance with Lyra. We're preparing for a collaborative mission to Talon 4, he answered. Ariana's brows rose. Are you serious? You think the council's going to let humanity go on a mission with associated Elorians? Actually, yes, Ethan responded, maintaining eye contact. This isn't just a human endeavor. It's a unified effort. We're showing that working together can yield results during the trial. Results, huh? Ariana mused, obviously calculating the merits. What do you expect? They voted against you. I would guarantee that the council won't just allow you to venture forth, regardless of your preparations. Maybe they need to see what we're capable of firsthand. Lyra interjected, her voice steady. Wouldn't you agree? Just shadowing our successes could shift opinions. Rarick stepped closer, filled with purpose. I believe there's strength in unity, Ariana. If we gather impressive data, our credibility will stand. Ariana blinked slowly, weighing their words. Fine. I want to be included. If you're determined to go ahead with this audacious venture, I'll support it. Just know that I'm skeptical, and I won't hesitate to call for backup if things spiral. Ethan grinned, unable to contain his relief. We'll take all the help we can get. Together, we can accomplish something significant. As they finalized their plans, Ethan felt a sense of camaraderie swell in the room. He looked around at the faces of those who would share this mission. Lyra's steady gaze, Rarick's eagerness, and even Ariana's challenging spirit. In that moment, he realized that they weren't just preparing for a mission. They were forging connections that would bridge the gap between worlds. Each person brought something unique to the table, and together they would face whatever came next. With a sense of purpose driving them forward, they looked out towards the stars, a reminder that collaboration could reshape their destinies. Chapter 3, The Trial. Ethan stood at the edge of the launch bay, his heart thumping in his chest. The starship, a sleek Elorian design with shimmering surfaces, hovered nearby, surrounded by a team of engineers and scientists, both human and Elorian. It was now or never, the culmination of weeks of hard work, collaboration, and a little bit of chaos. Are we ready to embark? Lyra approached, her expression a mix of excitement and anxiety. Her presence was a comfort amid the tension. Almost, Ethan replied, glancing at the team bustling around the ship. We just need to finalize our supplies and get the team on board. Rarick appeared, a clipboard in hand, his brow furrowed. I've gathered the necessary equipment for exobiological studies. The research group is on standby. We're good to go. That's great, Rarick. Ethan smiled, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. Let's call the crew in and have a quick briefing. We can't allow even a small oversight to hinder us. Lyra clapped her hands together, drawing the attention of the team. All right, everyone, gather around. This will be our first collaborative mission, and we need to operate as one cohesive unit. As the scientists assembled, Ethan took a deep breath. Welcome, everyone. I want to thank you for being here today. We're entering uncharted territory on Talon 4, and our goal is to document whatever we find. Ariana stepped forward, crossing her arms. Let's be clear, we're embarking on this mission under the scrutiny of the council. If anything goes awry, there will be consequences. Weren't you the one who agreed to participate? Rarick quipped, his voice teasing. I was. Ariana shot back, a smirk playing on her lips, but a reality check never hurt anyone. Ethan chuckled, sensing the atmosphere shift to a lighter tone. Let's focus. The goal is scientific discovery and cooperation is key. We'll face challenges, but together we can overcome them. Our findings will help shape the future for humanity. Right, came the gruff voice of Tunus, the Grather delegate who had joined the crew. However, if you send us into danger, I won't hesitate to take charge. Duly noted, Tunus, Ethan replied, trying to mask his trepidation. But I believe in the capabilities of this team. We will prepare for every scenario. With the crew ready, they proceeded on board, excitement mixing with nervous anticipation. Lyra moved with purpose, guiding the engineers through their protocols as Ethan and Rarik prepared the ship for takeoff. Ethan, did you make sure the communication systems are operational? Rarik asked, adjusting his equipment with a focused look. Of course. I checked them twice this morning, Ethan replied, feeling a swell of confidence. We'll be able to maintain contact with the Council throughout our mission. That's reassuring, Rarik acknowledged, downgrading his previous worry. Ariana approached as they finalized the checks. Ethan, what's our contingency plan? If something goes wrong, we need to ensure safe retrieval. Good point, Ethan admitted. In case of emergencies, we'll have a system that allows for quick extraction. We can initiate an emergency teleportation if need be. I'm glad that's covered, she said, her tone earnest. Sticking together is crucial and we need to prioritize each member's safety. As the final checks were made, the ship sprang to life, lights blinking and instruments beeping rhythmically. Ethan's excitement surged as they prepared for the launch. 10 seconds until takeoff, Lyra called out, her voice steady amidst the brewing tension. Get ready, everyone. Ethan shouted, his heart racing. This is it. 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. The ship jerked slightly as it launched into the void of space, the vibrant colors of the galaxy stretching endlessly before them. As they cruised toward Talon 4, determination filled the air. Ethan glanced around the ship, Lyra coordinating the navigation, Rarik adjusting equipment, and others eagerly discussing potential findings. Lyra, can you pull up the data on Talon 4? Ethan asked, straining to peer at the screen over her shoulder. Sure, here it is, she replied, her fingers dancing across the controls. Preliminary scans indicate a variety of geological phenomena, including potential bioluminescent flora. Rarik leaned closer, his eyes widening. That sounds incredible. Bioluminescence could prompt groundbreaking data on ecological interactions. Tunus grunted, eyeing the ship's controls. Let the others stick to gathering samples. I'll handle any threats. My people have a way of keeping things secure. Thanks, Tunus, Ethan said, appreciating the reassurance. We each have our roles and together we'll make this work. As they approached the orbital station, Ethan announced, we'll be arriving at Talon 4 shortly. Prepare for landing protocols. Ready for landing. Rarik shouted a little too enthusiastically. Steady hands. Ethan called out, gripping the controls. Focus on the readings. With the ship descending, Ethan maneuvered them closer to the surface, adrenaline pumping through him. The terrain came into view, an otherworldly landscape, foreign and mesmerizing, dotted with vibrant colors and peculiar formations. Landing in 3, 2, 1, Ethan's heart raced as the ship gently touched down, a triumphant cheer erupting around him. We made it! Lyra exclaimed, her excitement contagious. All right, team, let's suit up and get our gear ready, Ariana directed. Stick to the plan and remember your training. After donning their gear, they exited the ship, stepping onto the alien terrain. Ethan's senses buzzed as they took in the sights. Strange plants glowed softly around them while the skies shimmered with colors he had never seen. Look at that, pointed Rarik, captivated by a fluttering creature above. Do you think it might be harmless? Let's document it without upsetting the local ecosystem. As the hours rolled on, camaraderie blossomed. Laughter punctuated the air, and joy took root amid their endeavor. Checking on Ariana as she focused intently on her scientific instruments, Ethan couldn't help but ask, how's it going over here? Good, I'm gathering some preliminary data. I think we might be onto something. She turned, excitement creeping into her expression. Great. Make sure to put in a request for some Elorian tech for analysis. I'm way ahead of you, she replied, grinning back. As the day progressed, their discoveries mounted. They collected samples, documented observations, and shared insights enthusiastically. With each new find, Ethan felt their mission further solidifying their case to the conclave. As the light began to wane, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape, Ethan gathered everyone around. Let's regroup and share our findings. Lyra chimed in, tonight's discoveries will be the basis of our report. Each detail counts. With excitement bubbling, the team opened their findings to each other, sharing thoughts on what they'd observed and recorded. Trust grew, binding them tightly as they shared this experience. With the initial success igniting their spirits, Ethan felt a connection not just to the mission but to the people around him. They were no longer just representatives of disparate species, they were a team, working together toward a brighter future. As they settled in for the night, under an alien sky illuminated by 2 moons, Ethan couldn't help but smile. They had taken the vital first step into the unknown together. And it was just the beginning. Chapter 4, The Fallout. Ethan stirred awake to the soft hum of the alien landscape outside, the moons casting a silvery glow that filtered into their makeshift campsite. Here his eyes, the events of yesterday still fresh in his mind. Excitement bubbled through him. They had collected so much data and the atmosphere was electric with possibilities. As he sat up, he spotted Lyra perched on a rock and engrossed in her tablet. "Morning, Lyra," Ethan greeted, stretching his arms. "What's the verdict from yesterday's findings?" "Promising," she replied, her gaze glued to the screen. "Preliminary data suggests that some of these species might finally allow us to bring something new to the Council." "New?" asked Rarik, appearing from the tent they had set up, hair tousled and a bit of gravel stuck to his boot. "What do you mean?" "Bioluminescence in several species of plants," Lyra explained. "And the geological formations could reveal mineral resources that are previously unreported." Rarik scratched his head, looking intrigued. "So we're talking potential mineral extraction?" "Exactly," Ethan chimed in, his enthusiasm rising. "If we can validate this information and present it to the Council, it may change their views on humanity's involvement in exploration." Just then, Tanuz came lumbering over, his large frame casting a shadow over them. "Let me know when you're ready to head out. I want to explore more of this area before we head back." "Sounds good. We have to leverage what we found yesterday," Ethan replied. "But first, we need to regroup and go over what everyone documented." As the sun rose higher, the team gathered for a brief meeting. Ariana brought out her notes, laying the groundwork for their discussion. "Okay, everyone. Let's share what we discovered," she said, her tone businesslike yet encouraging. "I'll start with the flora samples. I took several readings and the variations in pH levels suggest different adaptation mechanisms. It's fascinating." "That is fascinating," Rarik said, leaning closer. "Did you document any of the unique creatures we saw?" "I did," Ariana responded. "I believe I spotted a pattern in their movement. If we can observe them further, we might determine their social structure." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "That could be monumental. Understanding how they interact may reveal ecological relationships we have yet to comprehend." "So, whose turn is next?" Ethan asked, glancing around the group. "I'll go," Tanuz said, his voice booming. "The rock formations are some of the richest I have seen. I detected traces of metals that could be useful, especially for manufacturing." "That's a big deal," Ethan replied, excitement creeping into his voice. "We could work on agreements for resource extraction with both the Zolari and Ilorians." "Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves," Ariana warned, her tone pragmatic. "We need to ensure our findings are solid first." "Good call," Ethan agreed, trying to keep the momentum without dismissing her caution. "Lyra, did you manage to get environmental samples near where we saw those strange glowing plants?" "Yes. I collected soil and water samples. Based on my preliminary analysis, they could be full of nutrients that haven't been cataloged," she said, her excitement bubbling over. "If we show that these species can cohabit harmoniously, it could lead to collaborative agricultural efforts across species." "That's it," Ethan exclaimed. "If the Council sees that we can contribute to their societies, they'll rethink their stance." With smiles exchanged and motivation restored, the team broke up to gather their notes and samples. The sounds of nature surrounded them, amplifying their sense of adventure. As they began collecting data, the atmosphere shifted. Tension hung like a thick mist in the air. Ethan could feel it brushing against his skin. "Something feels off," Rarik murmured as they worked. "I can't shake this feeling that we're pushing our luck." "What do you mean?" Tanuz asked, shrugging his shoulders in irritation. "We're doing well." "I know," but Rarik hesitated. "We need to be careful. We're not considered allies here. If the Council catches wind of anything happening that could undermine their authority, it could blow back on us." "Good point," Ethan agreed, glancing toward the horizon, where dark clouds loomed. "We need to keep a low profile while we finish our work. No excessive risks." Lyra joined them, sensing the ambivalence. "What's going on?" "Rarik's concerned about the Council intervening too soon," Tanuz said dismissively. "I say we focus on our findings and let them deal with bureaucratic nonsense." "Maybe we should get back to the ship and start preparing our reports," Ariana suggested, glancing nervously at the distant clouds. "We might have a storm coming." As they continued working, the thunder in the distance echoed and resonated, growing louder. They hurried to wrap things up. By the time they had collected their samples, the wind began to whip up around them. "All right, we need to move now," Ethan ordered, his tone leaving no room for hesitation. "Make sure you have everything." As everyone scrambled for their gear, the sky darkened rapidly. The once serene landscape transformed into a churning maelstrom. Rarik and Tunas gripped their equipment tightly, their expressions taut with anxiety. "Ethan, we have to get to the ship," Lyra exclaimed, her eyes wide with concern. "Let's go, go, go," Ethan shouted, racing ahead, leading the charge back toward their ship. The howling wind picked up, disrupting their movements as debris began to swirl around them. "Keep together," Tunas bellowed, pushing a branch away from his face. As they approached the ship, the storm clashed violently. Ethan reached the hatch first, fumbling with the seal while the others gathered behind him. The howling wind drowned out their shouts, and adrenaline coursed through his veins. "Get inside," he shouted, finally forcing the hatch open and ushering everyone in. They collapsed into the ship, panting, surveying the chaos unfolding outside. "I didn't think it would get this bad," Rarik shouted over the din, trying to regain his breath. "A storm near the station is normal, but not like this," Ethan replied, shaking his head. "We need to secure everything and prepare for turbulence." The cabin rattled as Lyra worked quickly at the controls. "I'll try to lock in communication with the council and update them on our situation. We might need immediate assistance." Ariana nodded. "Definitely. Let's try to get that done before the storm impacts us more." As they made adjustments and secured their findings, Ethan's heart raced with dread. The furious storm lashing at the ship seemed to reflect the tumult behind their mission. "Are we going to be okay?" Rarik asked, fear creeping into his voice. "We can't panic, we'll navigate this," Ethan urged, trying to contain his own rising anxiety. "Everyone stay sharp. We'll ride it out together." Outside, lightning cracked ominously against the sky, illuminating the alien terrain. The storm was relentless, buffeting their ship as they huddled inside, but within their space they drew comfort from companionship. Ethan took a deep breath, looking around at the team that had forged connections and formed bonds throughout their journey. They had come so far, but now they had to face the unpredictable. And it resonated that this trial, this shared experience, might ultimately dictate their future, for better or worse. And just like the storm outside, uncertainty loomed ahead. Together, they would face it no matter the outcome. Chapter 5, The New Dawn. The storm outside howled like a living creature, rattling the ship's hull as the crew huddled within. Ethan kept his eyes on the control panel, monitoring the readings while his mind raced through every contingency. "Are we stable?" Rarik asked, peering over Ethan's shoulder. "For now," Ethan replied, his voice focused yet strained. "But we need to keep monitoring the pressure levels. If it gets too severe, we might lose integrity." Lyra, busily trying to connect with the council, muttered, come on, give me something." She pressed buttons anxiously, the screens flashing. "The storm is jamming our signals," Ariana said, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We might be cut off for a while." "Fantastic," Rarik groaned, leaning against the wall with a frustrated sigh. "Just when we thought things were going smoothly." "Let's not lose sight of what we've accomplished," Ethan urged, glancing over his shoulder at the group. "We recorded valuable data. Once we ride the storm out, we'll debrief and push to present our findings, whether the council likes it or not." Tunos, still standing guard near the entrance, nodded. "You're right. We can't let this stop us. Keep moving forward." A loud crash echoed as another wave of wind slammed against the ship, rattling its framework. Ethan winced but forced himself to remain calm. "All right. Everyone, check your equipment. Ensure that all samples are secure and protected. We need to be prepared for anything." Ariana began double-checking her gear, her hands moving swiftly. "If we can get through the storm and back to the council, we might even overcome their bias. No one can deny solid findings." "True," Lyra agreed. "We have the chance to change everything, but we must survive this first." Outside, the storm continued its relentless assault. Ethan caught sight of debris swirling around their ship through the viewport. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared from the control panel, jolting everyone's attention. "Ethan? What's that?" Rarik blurted out, eyes wide. "Pressure drop. We need to reinforce the hull." Ethan shouted, instinctively switching displays. "Lyra, activate the emergency stabilization protocol." "On it," she replied, her fingers flying over the controls. Tunas moved closer to Ethan, brows furrowed. "Let me know how I can help." "Keep an eye on the external sensors and assist Lyra where you can," Ethan directed. "Everyone else, stay focused on your gear." As they scrambled into action, the ship shuddered violently, and Ethan fought against the panic threatening to surface. "We can't break apart. We've come too far for this," he murmured to himself. A sudden loud crackle of static erupted from the communication panel, startling everyone. Tyan, this is the Conclave. Respond. Lyra nearly jumped out of her seat. They're trying to contact us. Finally, Rarick exclaimed, excitement breaking through the tension. Establish a link. Doing it now, Lyra said, her focus narrowing onto the screen. As they settled into positions, Ethan held his breath, waiting for the signal to stabilize. Just as the display flickered, the image of a Zolari representative appeared. Ethan Cole responded. What is your status? Conclave, Ethan shouted, relief flooding his voice. We're in the middle of a storm on Talon 4. The conditions are severe, and we're experiencing a pressure drop. We need assistance immediately. Are you able to maintain structural integrity? The Zolari representative asked, his voice tinged with urgency. Yes, but we need to survive the next few hours. We have valuable findings to present. Stand by, we will mobilize a retrieval team, the Zolari said, before the transmission cut out abruptly. Great. Now we know they're on their way, Rarick said, turning to Lyra. Can we hold on long enough? I hope so, she replied, glancing back at Ethan. But we need to make sure our findings are ready to share when they arrive. Right? Ethan said, feeling the weight bearing down again. We've worked too hard for this to slip through our fingers. The crew resumed preparation, sorting through their documented findings, while Ethan kept an eye on the pressure gauge. As the minutes ticked by, the howling wind outside began to shift slightly. The storm felt like it might be subsiding. Tunus, can you check the external conditions? Ethan suggested. On it. Tunus turned his attention outward. After a moment, he grunted. Looks like the worst of it is passing. We might have a slight opening. Great, Ethan said, energy surging through him. We'll need to evaluate once the stabilization is complete. Then, maybe we can gather some quick data, even before they arrive, Ariana suggested. It might provide extra leverage. We need to be quick but cautious, Ethan replied, glancing at the control panel. Let's take our best shot. As they began gathering data for a brief scan, a sudden jolt rocked the ship again, shaking instruments and sending equipment tumbling to the floor. Stabilization protocol is fluctuating, Lyra cried, scrambling to regain control. Get ready to initiate emergency systems, Ethan barked, adrenaline coursing through him again. We can't afford to lose power here. Tunus steadied himself against a bulkhead while Rarick rushed to help Lyra. What can I do? Adjust the auxiliary power, redirect it to the stabilization protocols, Lyra shouted. Rarick dove for the console, his fingers moving deftly. Redirecting power now. Come on, Ethan urged, watching the gauges flicker. With a deep hum, the ship felt steadier again. Yes. We're gaining control, Lyra said, a spark of relief crossing her features. Finally, the storm outside began to dissipate, the winds calming, leaving only the gentle patter of rain against the hull. They all leaned back slightly, exhausted and relieved. Status report, came the voice of the Zolari representative over the communication system, breaking through the stillness. Conclave, we've stabilized, but we need immediate extraction, Ethan replied, relief pouring through him. We have critical findings that can change the Council's perception of our work. Retrieval team en route. Prepare for extraction procedures, the voice responded. Once the communication cut, Ethan took a deep breath, looking around at the team. I think we did it. We faced that storm together. Rarick nodded, still buzzing with adrenaline. Yes, but let's not let our guard down. We have to prove ourselves when they arrive. Agreed, Ariana replied, her focus sharper than ever. We still need to present our findings clearly. This could shift everything. Lyra smiled at Ethan, a glimmer of camaraderie glowing in her eyes. We did it together, and we'll keep doing it. Ethan grinned back at her, feeling the bond they had forged strengthen with each challenge they faced. We'll get this message across. This isn't just about individual species, it's about unity in exploration. Seconds ticked by, and eventually the ship rocked gently as a docking procedure began. Please prepare for extraction, came the announcement over the intercom. A rush of excitement coursed through the crew. Slowly, the hatch opened, revealing the silhouettes of the retrieval team. Let's show them what we've found, Ethan said, leading the charge as they exited the ship. Standing outside under the clearing sky, the aftermath of the storm lingered but faded softly into a new day. As the council members approached, Ethan could feel the thrill of possibility. They had walked through a trial by fire, and together they would emerge into the dawn of something new.